On a stormy night in 1863 in the heart of the Midwest, a young girl was awakened by a voice calling her name. But it wasn't just any voice. It was the voice of her brother, long gone and thought to be lost to the horrors of war. Little did she know what she was about to witness would change her understanding of life and death forever. Hello, I'm Erudite and welcome to Moonskull. If you're looking for tales of horror, the paranormal, sci-fi, and the unexplained, then you are in the right place. I know you 5,000 wonderful fear addicts, as well as the 30% of you closet horror buffs who have still not subscribed, are eager to get to the story I just mentioned. So, let's dive into Ron's grandmother's terrifying experience. It was 1863, and the Civil War was raging across the country. For Ron's grandmother, life had already been marked by loss. Her two older brothers, Ezekiel and Thomas, had enlisted to fight for the Union, leaving her in a home that was solid and steadfast, even though it had been touched by the scars of war. Though letters from the brothers had stopped coming months ago, there was no real cause for concern. Communication during those times was sporadic, especially in rural areas where resources were limited. On the night this story takes place, a fierce storm had begun to rage outside. The winds howled like wolves, and the rain poured against the roof with unrelenting force. Inside the house, the family was safe. The house and barn were solidly built, and the only real threat was a large dead oak tree outside, which, although old, was still rooted firmly in the ground. Grandmother lay in her bed, trying to sleep through the storm, when she heard the unmistakable sound of her brother Ezekiel's voice calling her name. It was faint, almost as if carried by the wind, but clear enough that it put her out of her sleep. Thinking it was a figment of her imagination, she ignored it. But then, again, the voice called her name, louder this time. Suddenly, as though responding to her hesitation, grandmother felt a sudden chill. In a flash, her covers were ripped off her body, and her heart skipped. It was a sensation she had known well as a child, when her brother Thomas would pull her blankets off to wake her up for the day. Confused, she sat up looking around the room, her mind racing. And then, just as a flash of lightning illuminated the night sky, she saw them. Her brothers, standing at the foot of her bed in their Union uniforms. But something was wrong. The blue of their uniforms was stained dark red. A scream tore from her throat as she jumped out of bed. Her parents rushed into the room, her mother holding a lit lamp, and when they looked, the room was empty. There was no sign of Ezekiel or Thomas. They were gone. Shaking, grandmother explained what she had seen. Her parents, although concerned, reassured her it was just a nightmare brought on by the storm. But as the night wore on, a loud crack of thunder pierced the air, followed by a crash from the direction of their parents' room. Grandmother's heart sank. The dead oak tree outside, the one that always seemed like such a harmless fixture, had been struck by lightning. One of its heavy branches had fallen through the roof, crushing the bed where her parents had been sleeping. If she had not screamed, they would have been killed. The next few weeks brought confirmation of a terrifying reality. Both Ezekiel and Thomas had been killed in battle, 2 months before. Ron's grandmother, shaken to her core, lived out the rest of her years swearing that her brothers had returned, not as ghosts, but as protectors. They had saved her parents' lives that night, even after their deaths. And no one, not even death itself, could take away her certainty of what she had seen. And there you have it, folks, a haunting tale of two brothers who returned from beyond to protect their family. What do you think happened that night? Were Ezekiel and Thomas truly there? Or was it all just a trick of the mind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want more of this kind of wild, paranormal, real-life madness, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe, because we got plenty more where this came from. I'm Erudite, and until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't explain.